If anyone is having any question, you may ask questions.
So you talked about changes in the market which take place. Sir, how to adjust ourselves to a situation that after 4 years also the student becomes relevant and he or she is able to get employed. Like for instance, a person comes in the first year and he leaves in the final year. Sir, in these 4 years, lot of market changes always keep happening. So, sir, according to the market share, obviously the employability also changes. So, in those situations, how to deal with this condition?
See, there is one thing. This is what I briefly, and maybe I was not so very direct about it. See, the technology will keep changing, and it will do so at a much faster rate. The problem is, it's not a problem actually; it's a reality. We are living in an information age. Just think about it. The amount of access to information we have today, it was not there 10 years back. Okay? So the evolution of technology is happening at a much faster rate today. Okay? Why it is happening? When you're building technology, it is built on what exists today. Okay? It doesn't start from scratch. Okay? For instance, we have electric cars. Okay? We have, I think, lithium and batteries there, and we have issues there. Okay? So we'll graduate from there. We'll learn from the problem that exists with that, and then we build technology on top of it. The question is, how do we cope with like this change, this transformation, this evolution? How fast it can happen? If it can happen slow, then university can catch up. Probably we can theoretically say, okay, it will happening in 4 years, so it will catch up. But the reality of today is that world is far more closely knit together. Okay, so somebody who is doing a research in Europe, some part of Europe, and somebody who is doing research in some part of Australia, in today's time, they are not that far. They are actually together doing the work. Since the level of collaboration has exponentially increased, okay, the evolution is also happening fast. Okay, and it is like hitting a moving target. We basically question, how do I hit that moving target? Because every 3 months things changes. So probably we should ask ourselves, are we looking at the problem correctly? The problem is not that the technology is moving fast. The problem is that how we are looking at that change in technology. The way to go about it is to rewire ourselves, our attitude towards learning, to becoming exposed to the information, be prepared with it, and accept it. For instance, I'll give you an example. Like I said, I recently said, many years back, I hired a university topper. And she was very, I mean, obviously her mental tuning was of preparing for something, getting trained on something, and then getting deployed. And her mindset was, I did something in college, and the kind of work that will get assigned to me would be relevant to what I did in the college. That's the first bummer. Okay, so that's the first reality that you'll hit, that it's not what you learned in college. Okay, and even if she accepted it, the other reality is that she'll have to train on something for 3-4 months. The damn thing is going to change again, and then again she has to, be ready to learn something else. And this is frustrating for not just juniors, even those senior people who are not used to. Well, I'll give you an example. I'm in the software, so I'll give example. People who are working on Java technology, they say that I will not go move to website. I mean, the browser technology. I will not code in JavaScript. Somebody who is working on HTML, CSS would argue that I only do HTML, CSS. I will not move to JavaScript. Okay, that's the mindset you have to come out of. Okay, and it has nothing to do with the technology. It has to do with how you're looking at something that needs to be learned. At least in the field of software, you are in the profession of learning and solving problems. So you have to see what the problem is. The problem is not technology is changing. The problem is that you have to understand, see yourself as a problem solver. And being a problem solver, you have to be somebody who knows how to learn. And learning is not an activity that ends when the college ends. It basically starts when the college ends. And what you're supposed to learn in college is not a given piece of technology, but to learn how to learn and how to think about it, how to reason about it, how to see knowledge in the context of applicability. Okay. Knowledge in isolation, like some theory which I cannot relate in the context of how it applies to today's problem, is not a knowledge. It's some facts that you have memorized. And in the world, and it's not about technology. I mean, technical people, we talk about, okay, technical people deal with problems. No. All business people, all people who are innovating, all chefs in the kitchen, everyone, they have their own set of, challenge, coming up with new recipe. Again, you have to be thinking, your mindset has to be tuned to that. You're getting what I'm saying? Am I making sense? Hello? Yes. The problem is, the way you're looking at it is that technology is changing. How do I cope with that? First thing is, you cannot match what is exactly needed in the industry, but you can follow it. You can track it. I'll give you an example. Recently, I don't know what college it was. I asked them, what web technologies you're working with. Okay. And it may not be relevant to you, but most of who are from computer science background will know. And they said AngularJS. AngularJS changed after 2016, 2017. The framework changed. So you have a computer science background, yes. So you would relate to it. AngularJS changed. Okay. Angular came. And Angular framework was a total rewrite. So what I'm saying is that although you may not be able to, version to version tracking won't be possible, but at least it should not be lagging by 4 years. 1-2 years is fine. And we should groom our students to not fall in love with the technology, but with the idea of solving problems. There has to be a switch, change in the attitude. And how do you solve a problem? By getting to the bottom of it. By understanding the domain, the context. See, the thing is that technology is a very local thing. It's nothing global about technology. You see a problem, you see it in a certain context, and then you look at the solution for it. So you have to look at problem in the context where it is happening, and then come up with the solution. And this learning, this learning needs to happen in the colleges. And as far as technology tracking, it should not be too much lagging. Now, what industry can bring to the table is this: your ability to problem-solving abilities, your interpersonal skill development, your communication skill development, time management. How do you learn time management? And it's not going to be a 1-year-long course. No. I'm not suggesting that industry come up with 1-year-long course which just teaches that. These are crash courses which needs to be applied. And colleges will give you assignment projects. I'll give you in the context of computer science. For instance, let's say you get a project to be finished. The last time I had a discussion with one of the HODs, and I asked them, how do you check the papers? How do you check the assignment is done? And it is indeed done by the students who have submitted it. So she said that they have to submit some black book. So there's some reports they have to submit. So how do you know that they have actually solved it themselves? They could have copied it from them because everything is available. I told them, how many of you heard of Git? Git. It's a repository tool. Okay. So I talked about one of the things that we lack, like in my first slide, I talked about access to new technology in education. It doesn't have to be very fancy, some AI, ML, Android, deploying some very fancy technological masterpiece. I'm talking as simple as something, a version control system like Git. Git is an open source. Okay? And all professors have to do is to expect students to submit their work, commit their work as and when they're finishing it. Git basically, whenever you create work, let's say you're working on some thesis or some theory you're building up. Okay, it could be from outside of computer science field. You won't just wake up one day and say, oh, I've got like 500 pages of theory right in my head and I can just write it in one shot. The way to go about it is that you write it. You write the outline first, and you think about zoom in on some particular aspect and then expand it. And you do it over time, right? You do it, spend 3 weeks, 4 weeks, am I right? You don't do it on one day, okay? And you have to go through multiple iterations. You'll talk to your professors, you'll talk to your friends, colleagues. Importantly, if industry is visiting your college, you take help from them also. But as you build it, you push your commits on daily basis. Hello, you're with me? This is a version control system which allows you to push work on daily basis. And then you're able to see the history, the provenance, how it all began. The story tells teachers a story of how this student, this particular student who submitted this assignment, how he has gone about it on the very first day, what he was thinking, and how he made progress with it. Just imagine this simple tool, absolutely free. When you use that for evaluation, and on the first day of your college, student, the first day, you just state this expectation that I am going to check all your assignments on GitHub. It's a very simple thing. It's given. Okay. So as I'm speaking today, take it as an input. So when you start your, let's say the first day, the students join college. The first day you said all your assignments are going to get reviewed and verified and checked from GitHub. And what I'm going to check is I'm going to look at the Git logs and I'm going to see how you made progress over it. Just think about it. Students are not going to cheat you there. If they have to really cheat you, they have to plan it progressively. And it's too much of work to plan it. You better do the work. Okay. So that's one thing that can happen. Let me see if I have another thing to say. Something else I will do. I think that's it. Any other questions you have? Yes, sir.